You know, we don't give enough credit to our public servants. We need to show people respect, and people that dedicated their entire lives to evil. I'm sorry to. I can't think of a rebuttal there. No, I meant what I said the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I recorded this rant earlier yesterday. I was going to turn it into a longer thing, and then I decided I didn't give enough fucks to actually do that. So this will be the entirety of my thoughts on the late Lindsey Graham. I present to you my latest rage out in the Hoopty Mobile.
An incredible cathedral. What a place to hold an event. It is seriously remarkable, and it's very kind of like almost European-like looking.
And I just learned that Lindsey Graham, middle name is Olin. I did not know that until you held up the program from his memorial service today. I want to thank you, Willie Nelson, Salem News Channel White House correspondent, for staying late and giving us an after the event recap, and I appreciate the hard work. Up to Capitol Hill to the White House on a Netanyahu, Zelensky, Graham Day. Wow, that's a lot. Thank you for your efforts. I appreciate it. Don't go anywhere, America.
That sure is a lot.
Let me give you a check.
Yeah.
Let me give you a check.
Going away. That was insufferable. I wish I had captured the rest of this bit, but I didn't. I wasn't quick enough. I was driving, and I'm bad at multitasking, so. We caught the tail end of the knob-slobbing of Lindsey Graham, who I'm sure died with a giant war boner. They say you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but it's really nothing that I didn't say when the man was alive.
Yeah.
Kind of weird that he died that quickly, too. Very weird, actually. Unexplained, insofar as I'm aware. How did he pass? I don't know. To be honest, I don't really care. People have speculated that he died in a Russian strike on a Ukrainian drone factory or whatever. I really don't care. If that was the case, though, there is no way this administration wouldn't capitalize on that and use it as a reason to go to war. Because they always are itching to go to war with whoever, wherever. War, 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 war. Lindsey Graham was the biggest proponent of said wars. Didn't even really matter who it was with. As long as it was a war, Lindsey Graham was for it. He was there to cheerlead. Not to go himself, obviously, but, for you to send either yourself or your kin. That would be preferable. And don't ask questions, because that's, you might get slapped with an ist or ism label if you do that. 40 years this guy was in office. Somebody explain that one to me. South Carolina, you've got some splaining to do. What the actual fuck? 40 years of this limp-wristed, unapologetic, unrepentant warmonger. What did this guy actually achieve? And Hugh Hewitt earlier, again, I wish I'd have captured it, but it was talking about how it was great that he helped get Kavanaugh appointed. Really? Kavanaugh? Yes, they were old buddies going way back, apparently. Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh. And you know what else Kavanaugh helped do earlier, before that, during the Bush administration? Bush number 2? He was one of the hands that helped pen the original Patriot Act. So the old Scooter Libby, Wolfowitz doctrine, folks, the gang has been together for a long time. The floating coalition, we're going to have a floating coalition. No one's going to tell us where we can drop strike packages. The General Wesley Clark warned us about all these guys. Surprised he didn't mention Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham behaved like he was on the Gang of Eight, which as far as I'm aware of, he wasn't. But man, did he love himself a good war. And according to the guest that was on, he never personally benefited from it. Well, just because he wasn't as rich as the other members of the House or the Senate does not mean he didn't enrich himself. Anybody that is a proponent of war to the extent that Lindsey Graham was enriching himself in one fashion or another. And maybe he was just making a sacrifice to ball, or maybe he was just ball washing for somebody else. I don't know. I think enough time has passed. 40 years is a long time, South Carolina. You need to move on. Grow some more peaches or something, whatever you do down there. No, wait, that's Georgia. My bad. Things are looking up for South Carolina. It can only get better from here. The bar was set exceptionally low by the last guy that was in there. And now they're looking to, I guess they already swore in his sister. Because we've got a nepo system. It's just on naked display for everybody to see. Yes, we live in a dynastic type system where we're just going to shove family members, the closest related family members, into the seats of power, just right in front of you. There you go. Yep, this is the most qualified person we could find on the spot. No one else in South Carolina could have possibly filled this role. We're going to put a close family relative of Lindsey Graham, a sister, into office. Sight unseen. Not quite as egregious as the Kamala Harris flip during the Biden run. Run number 2, rather. When he got the runs. Pretty close, though. Every time I think that I just need to cool off. I need to not be as jaded. I need to give people a chance. I need to give the world some breathing room. Every time then this fucking country turns around and proves that I am not jaded enough. Every time. All you have to do is wait 5 minutes for another shoe to drop. For this administration to bungle something else. To snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's coming. Just a week ago, I was looking at $3 a gallon for gas. Now it's almost $4 again. And it seems like I'm filling up more and more often lately. So whatever crap they're pumping into the pumps, it's not agreeing with my engine. And I'm not the only person that's been complaining about this stuff. I'm hearing it from everybody. How bad do the people in power want to see civil war in this country? How bad? On a scale from 1 to fuck you, how bad do you want to see civil unrest? Can we just get the answer out in the public? Can all the rich people and the people pulling the strings, can they all get together on a poll on X? Like, just throw a poll, amongst all your rich friends, and just see how many of them, scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want civil war in America? 0 being, I don't want it. 10, fuck you being, they want it yesterday. This is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, I was there. We were at Lindsey Graham's funeral, and I was sweating in my suit. Fuck you! You sound like a fishy motherfucker, too.
By the end of the broadcast today, it might have renewed again because Netanyahu and Trump have a very interesting way of completely blindsiding the Iranians again and again and again.
And the American people.
We bombed them for 13 nights. We've taken 3 or 4 nights off now. I don't think Trump has taken anything off the table, at least I hope he hasn't. How do you read it right now, Mr. Davis Hanson?
I think they've come to a consensus that you cannot negotiate with this government, and even if you were to reach an agreement, it would be worthless. And that's the history of the 47-year theocracy. So I think that they're going to engage probably in dual-use targeting as well, and they're going to try to destroy the military nuclear industrial complex, at least to the extent that it can't threaten neighbors or get a bomb or close a strait for maybe a decade.
I thought they already did that.
And then they're going to tell our allies, the Israelis, the Gulf states, the Europeans who need the Gulf somewhat, and the Asians who really need it, that we will organize our remnant forces there to keep the strait open and tit for tat if the Iranians start to rebuild at an alarming rate. And then we're going to I think, transfer the majority of, if we have a sufficient level of damage, and go into a containment mode and ensure that they're a permanently neutered power. It depends on who's going to be president after Trump, obviously. And then I think also, I hope so, that they don't negotiate with this government, and they might flip what Khomeini did. He was in exile in Iraq for 13 years, but the last 4 months, he undermined the Shah by having a government in exile from Paris. We could flip that model and really get a coalition and say, we're going to talk to a government in exile, a provisionary government that promises to have consensual elections, government within a couple of years, and we're going to transfer frozen assets to it and do things a little bit differently. I think that somebody floated the idea that we should take the frozen assets and also create an insurance fund and tell any tanker that is hit by an Iranian weapon that they will be fully compensated out of Iranian funds, and then keep the sanctions on, if not tighten them. So I think that's what they're working to.
Would you keep, as I hope they do, the blockade in place until and unless we have proof positive that they are disarming Pickaxe Mountain and their other 3 nuclear sites? There's no reason to unnecessarily drive oil up, but I just don't want to take the blockade off again. We gave them one chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's things that are, I think there's a growing realization, given the radicalization of the Democratic Socialists take over the Democratic Party, and as Scott Besant has outlined, in terms of GDP, inflation, job growth, unemployment, foreign investment, the essentials are starting to really be apparent, that the economy is strong. And with the gerrymandering on red states and the Supreme Court racial I think they feel they have an outside chance that if they can resolve the kinetic big picture in Iran and contain it, keep the blockade, keep the sanctions on, organize the allies to keep the straight, they can disengage, that they can still win the midterm.
Well, I hope you're right. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about...
I don't. I think I just lost all of my respect for Victor Davis Hanson in one conversation. So he's aboard the Iran war agenda that nobody voted for, by the way. Talking about we've been at war with Iran for 47 years, even though most of America just found out about it yesterday. And we have a strong economy, we have a strong jobs market, we have a strong stock market, the Dow is up. Yeah, you hit a high enough level in the influencer sphere and out comes the hidden hand to offer you cash. And I guess he took the payment, or maybe he took the blue pill. I'm not sure. Maybe both. So yeah, let's see the results on the poll. 0 to fuck you. How bad do the elites in power want civil conflicts, want civil war in America? Because if you keep ignoring the issues, the real issues here in America, cost of living, housing, affordability, health care, things that affect Americans here in America, these are issues that cannot be left unresolved for very long. And war has a tendency to drag these things out and make them worse. And there's a lot of Americans that seem to be under the false pretense that just because we're thousands of miles across the ocean means that conflict cannot come here. We do not need to be egging on other nations to make it so, because I don't want to see that. Most Americans have never been to war. You don't want to live in war. You don't want to live near war. Now, we've been operating on a war economy for the last 20 years on one level or another. That's why our currency's been devaluated as much as it has. I feel like a fucking old man at this point, because I remember when you could buy a used car for $2,000. Had less than 100,000 miles on the odometer. Good luck doing that now. I remember we could fill your whole damn car up with $20. It sounds like they want to turn Iran into Gaza. We're going to select the government. We're going to quarantine the entire nation of Iran. And we're going to blockade the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to be charging passage fees now. Isn't that great, world? Don't you appreciate the world police service that America's providing to you? And now we're going to charge you for the benefit of it? Even though it was open before all this started, and there wasn't a toll, now there is a toll. And we need to keep the sanctions up. I think at this point, the sanctions have already done all the damage they're going to do. The stick isn't working. You've been doing it for decades. It's not working. Maybe try the carrot. You're going to have to ignore some of the advisors and lobbyists and, political action groups that have blood feuds with that nation for whatever reason. You're going to have to ignore them. But you're not going to, because there's money in it. And you know what? I take back the nukes suggestion. I don't think they're going to nuke Iran, because I think they want to tap whatever resources are in it. I think what they're attempting right now is siege warfare, which is a war crime, by the way, because civilians inevitably get caught up in it.
They think this is a joke.
Yeah.
Still trying to play this fucking political game over and above the international one, or intertwine the two. I mean, this has always been the case, but they still... They're not taking this internal threat seriously enough, the economy. They're not taking this seriously enough. And, these chuckleheads, Hugh Hewitt and Mike Gallagher and what the hell is that guy's name with the Prater?
Prager, yeah.
Prager.
Yeah, Prager, yeah.
They're sitting there talking about, we got to think about the midterms. They're back to the midterms. Of course, this was going to happen. Of course,
they do that.
Well, I don't care anymore, and a lot of people, in our corner of the internet don't either, because we did not see our preferred result in the last decade. And we got our guy in 2 out of 3 times.
2 out of 3, yeah.
And he has not delivered on his promises. The only thing he has seemingly gotten better with is the public relations grift. How the messaging has been tinkered around with. And, removing promises, removing the website with your promises on it, those 20 core promises from the last time he ran. Which, by the way, he didn't fulfill the ones he ran for the first time either. Yeah. And, I was kind of behind him that first go around, because me and all the world could see that he was getting blocked by elements within our own government. But this time around, it's like he's on board with the agenda, or he just doesn't care. And now, this whole ordeal with Lindsey Graham passing, and all of a sudden his sister just slides into his seat. I don't know what that's all about. And then at the same time this is going on, Mitch McConnell is MIA.
Absentee, yeah.
They released some fucking proof of life image, which just the ridiculousness of that statement alone should speak volumes. These are not serious people. They're behaving like the maintenance and the stewardship of our nation is the last thing that they're actually concerned about. You can see where the importance of things lie by where they spend their time and their money and their effort. And they're not spending their time, money, or effort on improving the lot of the lives of the American people. They are spending their time, money, and effort on saber rattling with pretty much the entire fucking world, while our economy goes down the shitter.
Well,
and a fucking musical chair game of patching various holes in the Titanic.
To be clear,
Fed rate tinkering, booting out Jerome Powell like that was going to fix the problem. The problem wasn't Jerome Powell. It never was. The problem is the Federal Reserve and the tinkering with our currency. And by the way, it's not a big secret. Trump himself addressed that issue multiple times during all three of his campaigns. This is not news. It's not like he's ignorant to that fact, or that anybody at the Hill is ignorant to that fact, but they won't do anything about it.
They have increased the economy in certain ways, mainly for those that have money. It takes money to make money. And if you have money, then you're in the stock market. And of course, the stock market is up right now. The Dow is up because we're at war. And it's all those war stocks that are up. All the military industrial complex is making money. And all the data centers are making money because they're really tied to the military industrial complex, whether we know it or not. They're taking care of themselves because they know the whole system is going to crash. I'm going to get mine while it's good. And fuck you. I got mine. Fuck you.
It's not going to be good for everybody for very much longer, and that includes the rich. I got this from Michael Bordenaro earlier today. I was just going to play the clip, but corporate landlords are dumping houses at major discounts. I'm just going to screen share it. I'm not playing the video, though. We don't have enough time for that. Okay. And it's a 30-minute long video. Corporate landlords are dumping houses at major discounts. And he goes on to describe, what's going on in the the residential housing, with these commercial landlords, big commercial landlords. And they are largely clearing their books. They're liquidating their books. So even the big investors, the pirate equity guys, they're not buying land. They're selling, if anything. So big money is moving out of real estate. Kind of makes you wonder what they know that we don't. And I think what's going on is we're about to see a correction in the housing market, which means a lot of boomers are about to get their fucking clocks cleaned. So even the promises that he made to the uber wealthy and those people who quote unquote made it, he's not going to live up to those either.
Well, he was making sure that people could have more money with keeping their house because he was jacking with things. Yeah, right. You did notice, of course, Bissett was at the funeral, right? He was right there with JD and Trump.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they're all as tight as they can be right now. So
another fishy-looking crypt keeper dude with weird mannerisms.
Yeah, there were a lot of really weird individuals at that funeral, and I was wondering what it said he was handing out mints or Tic Tacs. I think they were either handing out X or acid. I'm not sure. Hey, you want to have a hit? Let's trip out at Lindsey's funeral.
Well, it looked like Tic Tacs when they zoomed in. I saw a Tic Tac, but I mean that doesn't mean that's what it was in the container.
Yeah. Well, we still haven't figured out whose Coke that was. So.
And then we've got this little shit show going on the House floor, which you sent me earlier. Yeah. So I'm gonna play this one. Josh Hawley going off on
Fauci.
On Fauci, which hold on a second.
Yeah, I got one specifically for that if I can find it.
No, I got it in the playlist.
Oh, okay.
Honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc?
Yeah.
What's up?
Let me do the head bob and the shoulder bob and the Get the fuck out of here. I'm about ready to punch a hole through my monitor already. Yeah, you're a funny guy. That's real funny. Draft a fucking bill. Get this guy fucking subpoenaed. Have him arrested.
Well, they're holding him in contempt, but we've got to wait to see what they're going to charge him as far as contempt is going to. That contempt is a small charge. That has nothing to do with the murder of thousands of people.
What day of the week is it today?
Fuck you. That's what day of the week it is. It's fuck you.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth
fuck you
Amendment to
too.
the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to
89.
the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
90.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth
You
Amendment
have
to
no
the
rights.
Constitution.
Let's just.
If you play this game, your pardon will be waived. You are not allowed to hide behind your Fifth Amendment rights for crimes for
I
which
told him
pardoned.
up front. They told him at the beginning of the hearing. This is how it is. You have no legal right to say that. And yet, 121 times that's what he says.
Let's get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you?
Yeah, he wasn't the only one either.
That's my point, is that he's a scapegoat. He's the one that got caught. There's too many other people that were involved in this that knew about it. And a lot of those guys are sitting behind you. So don't make it all about him. Let's talk about all you fuckers.
Yeah. There were other people that worked underneath him. There were people above him that were giving marching orders. There were fiduciary bodies that provided funding for him and his work and all the tertiary stuff that went around it. And all of that stuff needs to be put under review, and everybody who is in charge of that stuff needs to be brought in for questioning as well.
Well,
It is not just this one guy that is responsible for this whole thing. And oh, by the way, it stretches out further across the water than just here in America. Dr. Neil Ferguson, who came up with that, the ostentatious mass death report that kicked this entire hornet's nest into activation here in the United States. Have we reached out to our British allies for some form of justice over that shit? You know, the same guy that got caught going to his girlfriend's apartment, his mistress's apartment during the lockdowns in Great Britain, when he told everybody else, if you don't stay home, grandma's going to die. But he's out banging the secretary, risking your life and limb so he could get some on.
Well, and there's the Chinese guys that were involved in the lab and wrote the paper. And the guys that actually worked on the virus itself.
I forgot Kyle Seraphin. I forgot. You can't have a multi-agency cover-up, let alone an international multi-agency cover-up.
Thousands of people involved.
It can't happen.
They can't all be involved.
It can't happen here. Except when it does. And then they rub your fucking nose in it. They get this fucking human bobblehead. Bobble. I'm worming around. I'm like one of those floaty inflatable guys in front of the used car lot. Fucking looks like a used car salesman too.
He kind of does, yeah. He's got that spiky hair.
You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end.
You know what? If I look into your stock portfolio, Mr. Josh Hawley, am I going to find out that you invested in a bunch of companies that made masks right before this whole thing kicked off too?
Or
because I got a feeling like every single one of you motherfuckers is dirty at this point. And I'm placing the onus upon you and everybody else at the Hill to prove their innocence in this shit, because until you do, that's my assumption moving forward. I hope the Dems do sweep. I hope we see a blue wave like we've never fucking seen in this country before. Now, let's fucking do it. DSA all the way. DSA all the way. We just have to hit rock bottom at this point. This country has to hit the bottom.
We have. I don't know how much further we can go, but I do know that a good example of what we're talking about here. These people were talking about we need more money. We need to have a pay raise because it's too expensive to live in D.C. Remember that? Remember that? While people down here are having to worry about paying their electric bill and buying groceries.
Do you know why it's so expensive, Mr. and Mrs. Washington? Because you keep inflating the fucking currency. That's why. Stop doing it.
Evaluating the dollar.
Stop doing it. And while you're at it, let's get some deflation going on.
Never seen that. It's not going to happen.
And you know what? If the argument is, well, we need to be able to play the stock market because we're not getting paid enough money, well, that's fine. We won't pay you any money and you can play the stock market. And that's how you'll get paid from now on. You can have one or the other. You cannot have both. That's how they should handle that shit.
I think it was Ron Paul that made a statement about the amount of money that these tech bros are making. And I said, let's take the wealth away from them, distribute it, equally among the American people. If they were good about making money, they'll make it back. Not, oh, well.
And you were getting rich, and not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million.
Wouldn't that be treason? He's
providing aid and comfort to the enemy. No, that's it's not treason. It's just fraud and sedition and
okay, who's the enemy?
Maybe not even that.
Who's the enemy? He's the enemy.
No, he's just he's like a Bernie Madoff figure, He's
Madoff. That's a good name.
He scammed the American people.
Ponzi scheme.
He scammed the American people. 20 years in jail right now. Let's go.
And he killed
people. If they actually wanted to enforce the existing laws, they could find him guilty of something. It's there. You wouldn't be able to do this yap fest otherwise. But the yap fest tells me you're going to do absolutely nothing to this guy.
Nothing. Well, they haven't done anything so far. We've had evidence of things wrongdoing, and how many people have been arrested so far? One, maybe.
They're going to frog march Deborah Birx out too like this and screech at her?
No.
She'll just sit there with her scarf and smile the whole time because she'll know the same thing that Dr. Fauci knows.
They're not going to do anything.
They're not going to do a damn thing. Feel free to prove me wrong, Josh Hawley. Did you all go and buy the same suit? What the fuck is going on here? It's like they're wearing the same suit but different ties.
Well, that's probably from
like
the
this,
congressional.
The guy above him, the guy above him to the left, and the guy above him to the right. Like,
I'm sure they're all Trump suits. So.
$1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, okay.
I decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth.
Volker says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash.
$1 million. Who fucking cares? I'm not.
That was one. That was just one.
I'm gonna trash my new monitor with my
Don't
bare
do
hands.
that, man. Don't do that. But that is just one. And I mean, there were multiple ones. What gets me is the guy that's in that statement. Where is the charges against him? Are we going to pull any charges on that guy?
Look at this guy to the right. Look at this face.
Yeah, they're all. There were a couple of them I saw that were kind of snickering in the background, but they're not going to do anything.
No, well, that's the look. That's the look he has. Can I zoom in? Hold on. Let me see if I can zoom in. Can I zoom? That's the look he has on his face. They're not doing shit. We're not doing shit. This is all theater. This is a waste of my time. Why am I here? This guy is checking his Instagram. Off to the side, he's got a phone down there.
I think he's checking the page.
Why am I here? Why am I here? Theater for ugly people. Ineffectual, limp-wristed, no balls, no action, just getting paid. You know, speaking of defrauding the American people of millions of dollars, that entire room is filled with people that are doing exactly that because they're not fulfilling the will of the people.
Well, they're going to work 231 days out of a year, but they're not getting anything done.
Yeah, this song and dance, I've been witnessing this for a long time with different people. Chip Roy is one good example. He says a lot of cool stuff, gets up there, gets the people all riled up, although generally he's in an empty room. I've learned that later on. He's not talking to anybody, so no one's listening except the camera.
Nobody's at their job.
Chip Roy, before that, it was Matt Gaetz, was another firebrand. Who was the other one? Trey Gowdy. Remember Trey Gowdy?
Yeah.
There's another good firebrand. He said all the right things and did absolutely nothing. Matt Gaetz, on the other hand, did try to run for AG, but
he did, and that didn't work out too well.
Cornyn's
actually stepping up a little recently, but you know, I don't see anything he's done. And they're saying that they're working hard. They're hardly working. Okay, they don't go anywhere except to, the bars, I guess, because they're definitely not in the House or in the Senate. There's never anybody in the room when they're doing their vote. Where are they? They're not at their job. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. And we can't get anything passed. We've been working on this Save America Act for how long? This is ridiculous. What are we paying you guys to do? What did we send you to Washington to take care of? You're supposed to be up there taking care of business, our country. And now we're running out of missiles.
Do you want to see what's going through the minds of the young men in this country right now?
Oh.
You want a on the ground view of what's afflicting young men in this country right now? Let's take a look. Let's do a Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Do 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 do.
Won't you be my neighbor?
All right, guys. So this is going to be a serious video. I'm at a crossroads now as to what to do. I have been out of work for the last couple weeks now, at least. I don't have too much savings because I paid off some school debt from before. Thank God I don't really have any debt now. It's a couple $100 of credit card debt, but pretty much now what my options are is the economy's in the shitter. Jobs are really not paying too much. Everything is so expensive. The opportunity in the United States is dwindling. And I understand it's dwindling everywhere, right? But as of right now, I have not been able to find anything decent. I do not have too much savings. like 10K plus. And, you know, my options are pretty much this is what I'm considering. I either find a job within the next couple weeks, or I just take a huge leap of faith, make a really hard decision, and go to some part of Latin America, probably Colombia or the Dominican Republic first, and try to make some kind of life for myself over there. Teach Spanish, teach English, do social media, what I've already been doing.
This is not an isolated incident. I have listened to multiple different channels of young men and women in his position talking about the exact same thing. Things are not working in this country to the point where they're willing to entirely uproot themselves and move to another country. And for him, because he's young and he's still got that nuclear battery of metabolism, he has been burning his candle at both ends, working like 80 hours a week to save up his nest egg so he can get the fuck out of here. Everything's hunky-dory, though. Best economy ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they're getting as an alternative. Because we're now using AI testing for a supposed non-working draft. But
yeah,
you know, we've got the most what they say, the most volunteer army that we've had in years.
And
what?
And again, I feel every time I'm about to drop this Kyle Seraphin issue, I'm reminded that he is not the only person. He's not the nexus of this kind of thinking. Today during his stream, he's like, "Well, just because they're testing the draft system doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. It's not a blah, 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 blah." And then I hear some I'm not supposed to say that word.
Ding.
I hear some fucking idiot over on X and Diligent Space say the same thing. So this is why I know they're hanging out in the same spaces.
Yeah.
These idiots with these Pabst Blue Ribbon chugging trash.
I mean, they've been talking about the draft for months. Really, even before we started this with, what is it, Operation Sledgehammer or whatever.
You know, we had another training tabletop exercise a year before, in 2019.
The coup. Yeah.
It was called Event 201. Yeah. And then we happened to get a disease that very closely resembled the one that they were tabletopping a year before, the very next year.
But nobody knew that, and so you're not supposed to talk about that. So it's that didn't exist. It didn't happen.
But just because they're doing a training exercise or wargaming, it doesn't mean you blah, blah, blah. Well, why would they need to?
Why do they do it
if they weren't planning on doing it? If they didn't foresee the necessity for using it, or at least the perceived for their agenda necessity for using it, then why the fuck would they be doing it? Why would we hear about it either is the other thing, which makes me think that the reason why that information was leaked is to test the public temperament on the issue.
Yeah, well.
And I'm betting that the survey says, I'm betting it's going to be, not favorable.
But we've already seen that they've tested the waters on certain things, and they went ahead and did it. No matter what the American people said, they don't give a shit. They're going to do what they're going to do. Fuck you. Curious to know how much money was spent for those planes, those F-16s or F-15s to fly over the funeral. That was money could have been spent on, I don't know, veterans.
I mean, for any individual American, you could probably not have to work for 5 years and split that amongst your entire family.
Yeah, well,
for what it costs to fuel those jets for one flyover like that.
But he was such a great guy. Oh, well, no. President Trump said he was a tough cookie and not everybody liked him. Duh.
He was a dummy.
Everybody's talking so great about how great of an American he was, and he was a friend to everybody. Ukrainians and the Israels and
If Lindsey Graham was a guy that got in there and got stuff done for the American people, but he acted kind of weird and effeminate, I wouldn't care. That's not what irritated me about him. And the only reason why I'm picking on it is because everything else about him is vile and disgusting and unrespectable. So yeah, I'm going to pick on him for the other stuff too, because it's low-hanging fruit. And I have zero respect for the man. And I always have.
Yeah. Well, and he was in office 40 years.
40 years of useless non-serving of the American people.
But we've been at war with Iran for 47. So.
And he's not the only one with a legacy of fuck you, got mine. This is one of the rare instances where I might have to end the episode before I say something or break something.
Yeah. We are at a loss because I saw a interview. I don't even remember who it was, but he was saying somebody leaked that we have no missiles, but we have missiles. We have a lot of missiles, but those people who leaked that should go to jail. Wait a minute. If you're saying that, there's no crime there.
Yeah, that was like 2-3 months ago. What you're talking about, I remember. Yeah. And I think I didn't eventually come out that it was actually Pete Hegseth that said that.
Probably. He probably said it at the bar with Cash.
No, I think he said it like to the press.
At a press conference, yeah. I wouldn't have doubted it.
Either at a press conference or, to the press in general, and then they wrote something on it or, something like that. I don't know.
I think it's come out again. I think it's come out again, and it's still. But
yeah, this was shortly after the Signal Chat Gate event. If you remember that thing,
yeah, I remember that.
It was very shortly after that whole thing went down.
Well, now we've been told that all the centrifuges have been moved into Pickaxe Mountain. We've been told by intelligence. Yeah, okay. And so we're supposed to go over there and take it. We're going to put boots on the ground. How many boots do you have to go into the mountain?
I told you this shit would never fucking end after Operation Hammer wasn't enough. Midnight Hammer. We bombed their shit into oblivion, which either means they were lying about how many targets there were. They didn't know about all the targets that there were. Or we did actually bomb them to oblivion, but we need to, we got all these contracts that need money and handshake under the table deals that we got to fulfill.
We don't know about Contra, right?
I really think they're trying to set Iran up to be like an open air prison.
Oh, well.
Siege warfare of an entire nation.
Escape from New York.
Yes.
Until
we get our appointed, regime change leadership in there, and then we can strip mine the entire nation of Iran and throw up a McDonald's. And until we get a McDonald's and a Cheetah's, there will be no peace in Iran.
A Bunny Ranch. I have a problem with them saying there's been an act that somebody should pay for. Somebody should go to jail. Okay, if you're saying that the crime has been committed, why has not anybody gone to jail? Why have we not arrested anybody? Oh, I've got to find that one for later, but yeah. It just doesn't. I don't know what to say anymore than why are we not taking care of business? Why are we lip servicing? Everything is an announcement, but there's never a thing. There's never an actual thing.
I just want to reiterate something that I brought up earlier in that rant. I screen shared this, and I'm going to do so again here. So, I'm not just making it up. Now, this is AI scouring, but feel free to do your own research on it. I have. So I know this isn't a hallucination. Brett Kavanaugh played a central role in the adoption, defense, and drafting. He wrote at least parts of the USA Patriot Act, while serving as Associate Counsel and Staff Secretary to President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2003. Records released by the National Archives confirmed he sent 227 emails regarding surveillance and Patriot Act and drafted talking points that President Bush incorporated directly into the legislation's signing statement. Kavanaugh authored the characterization that the act updated surveillance laws from an era of rotary telephones to account for modern technology. So all the internet surveillance stuff, you can thank, at least in part, this guy that Lindsey Graham was great friends with, and so was George W. Bush. These are the people that we set aside time for to pay our respects. I am not pressing X to pay respects for any of these people. These are the engineers of the problems that we are facing here in America today. I'm tired. This entire country is tired. But the youth are going to be your problem. And I'm rubbing my hands together in anticipation of how big a problem they are going to be. And I hope it's a big one.
Well,
I've been
is out there somewhere.
I've been listening to I've been listening to Millennial Steam's older stuff on this topic, and he and other channels and people that are in his orbit, like that guy I just played, Deconstructing Narcissism, that young man that was at a crossroads thinking about moving to Panama. There are hundreds of these guys, and these are just the ones with enough subs to register on the search engine when I look for this stuff.
Yeah.
Talking about what I would call Fed posting. I'm not going to elucidate on that further. We're grown adults. Talking about it openly. And the other thing that's being talked about openly, which I guess is, a little better for polite company, is a work strike, not working. What do you think is going to happen when a month's worth of work no longer pays for rent, even when you have multiple roommates? What happens then? What happens when you can't add any more clowns to the circus car to make the equation work? And I think we are dangerously close to that right now. And you want to go to war with a country that didn't do shit to get us to this point. And we interjected ourselves, and we've been doing this pretty much since Trump's second go-around began. This behavior tells me that they need a lot less of us very soon to make the equation work. And the best way to do that is to throw a draft to get as many of the young men and women, because they're going to include women in this one, by the way, ladies. Yeah. Enjoy that equality that you fought so hard for. To get a draft going so they can throw all the alpha men and women overseas to die in a pointless conflict for resource acquisition that you will not benefit from, so that enough of you die that the prices become bearable here for the ones that remain. That they will likely import because there won't be enough Americans to reach population stability. And we will become Great Britain 2.0 or 3.0, whatever
3.0
model variation they're up to now after their mass influx of immigration post 2012.
Frontline cannon fodder doesn't look at gender or race. Lindsey, fuck you.
It's got to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And no, we are not at the worst case scenario yet. We're at the cliff's edge. I believe we're at the point of the roller coaster where it's all down from here and very rapidly.
Very rapid.
And the problem with this is I don't believe these folks are ignorant to just how dissatisfied the youth of our nation is. The future voting bloc and the current one, that guy was old enough to vote, by the way. You might want to think about that. Yeah, they're going to be looking for handouts because guess what? When the Republicans, when the Reds had the baton, the torch, they did nothing productive with it for the future of the American people. They were very good salesmen. But the product that we got was a fucking lemon. And that doesn't make me a doomer or a black pillar or, a TDS guy.
You're tired of going without while all the others do.
I think perhaps I explained things wrong. Your generation and mine are tired. And generations older than us are tired. The generations after us are very fucking angry. Very fucking angry. And they're tired mentally, but they've got the bodies of, 20 and 30-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, and you put an animal in a corner, what happens?
And by the way, their parents are the 20 and 30-year-olds that are very angry right now. That generation behind them. Their parents are the disgruntled ones. What do you think they're telling their kids? What do you think they're watching on TikTok and Instagram? Or X is more likely. Or more fringe platforms. What do you think they're hearing on Nick Fuentes? What do you think they're hearing on Pick Your Poison?
But that's where this police state is going to come in, because they're going to start locking down free speech.
That's what the Flock AI stuff is about, man. It is not about stopping the coming civil conflict. It is about mitigating it so they get the desired result from it.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
All you have to do is fix the currency so we're not getting boned. That's all you have to do. So, I mean, fix the currency, or you can intentionally continue to create hell on earth.
And howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today.
I think this ends the section of things that I am willing to share with the general public. I'm going to end it here. Fork, bell, I'm done. That's the end, folks.